So, tonight, when the sun finally drops below the horizon, you're going to do something so deeply ingrained you won't even think twice about it. You're going to reach out, flip a switch, and light will instantly flood your room. But what if I told you that simple action has completely erased a 300,000-year-old biological rhythm? Let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking an incredible mystery about human sleep, the dark, and what our ancestors were really doing while the rest of the modern world just assumed they were snoozing.
Think about our modern reality for a second. We have this everyday illusion that we completely control the day and night with just a little piece of plastic on the wall. Now, contrast that with the terrifying reality of ancient prehistoric darkness. When the sun set for our ancestors, the world went completely pitch black. I mean, an abyss so dark you literally couldn't see your own hand waving inches in front of your face. It's an environment almost no human alive today has ever truly experienced.
And here's the crucial point. For 99.9% of human history, artificial lights simply did not exist. No light bulbs, no street lamps, and for a vast majority of that time, not even a rudimentary candle. Just the vast, black sky, the terrifying unknown, and eventually whatever flickering fire they could manage to keep alive. For over 300,000 years, every single one of your ancestors spent roughly half their entire lives in near total darkness.
Part 1. The Prehistoric Darkness.
Right, so before we tamed the flame, we were essentially just like every other primate out there on the savannah. Our night vision was, and actually still is, absolutely terrible compared to the apex predators that hunted us. Leopards, hyenas, wolves, they could see in the dark just fine. So before fire, sunset meant one thing: immediately stopping all activity. You climbed up into a tree or found a deeply sheltered spot, and you stayed perfectly still. Because in that era, moving around at night didn't mean taking a pleasant stroll. It meant becoming someone else's midnight snack.
Which brings us to how fire changed absolutely everything.
We have to travel back roughly 1 million years ago to places like the Wonderwork Cave in South Africa. This is where our ancestors first tamed the flame. And fire did so much more than just keep early humans warm. It created a literal 30-foot circle of safety. Inside that 30-foot diameter, you were alive. Predators were absolutely terrified of the flames and wouldn't dare cross the boundary. Outside that circle, well, anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherers note that even today, wandering away from the nighttime fire significantly increases your chances of being killed by a predator. But more importantly, this glowing boundary instantly added 2 to 4 highly usable hours to the human day. The day no longer forcefully ended at sunset.
There's this fascinating 2014 study by anthropologist Polly Wiesner. She observed the Kalahari Bushmen, who are one of the last groups living close to our original hunter-gatherer lifestyle. During the day, 80% of their conversations were purely practical. Who was hunting where, logistics, work. But under the glow of the nighttime fire, 81% of conversations transformed into stories, myths, adventures, jokes. The campfire literally became the original theater, the original classroom, and really the birthplace of human culture. It's where we learn to imagine things way beyond the immediate present.
And this ushers in the era of 2 sleeps. So, when the stories ended and the embers died down, the night held another profound secret. And this is where we uncover a massive shift in how we understand human rest, which was brought to light by historian Roger E. Ickertch's groundbreaking 2001 analysis of over 500 ancient texts. As it turns out, you were not designed to sleep the way you sleep right now. Digging through court records, diaries, medical texts, even Homer's Odyssey, Ickertch found the exact same pattern mentioned everywhere: first and second sleep. Before the industrial age, human beings went to bed shortly after sunset, slept for about 4 hours, and then woke up in the pitch black. They stayed awake for 1 to 2 hours, and then went back for a second 4-hour sleep until dawn. This historically universal pattern was so deeply forgotten that modern translators literally used to mistranslate the phrase "first sleep" out of sheer disbelief. They honestly assumed it was a typo.
There was even historical advice on exactly how people utilized this bizarre midnight wakeful hour. A 16th century French physician actually recommended that couples use this time between first and second sleep to conceive children. He boldly claimed they will do it better because they were completely rested from the first sleep, but not yet exhausted by the heavy labor of the next day. But people didn't just stay in bed either. In the 1500s, this middle-of-the-night period, which they often called the watch, was considered the absolute prime time for deep thought. People would literally get up, visit their neighbors in the dark, interpret their dreams while they were still vividly fresh, or just lay quietly and reflect. The mind was perfectly calm, and the world was completely still.
Let's dive into the science of second sleep. So history tells us one thing, but what about biology? Let's look at how modern science perfectly validated these dusty old texts. Back in 1992, a psychiatrist named Thomas Ware ran a totally fascinating sensory deprivation experiment. He took a group of volunteers and plunged them into conditions mirroring prehistoric nights. We're talking 14 hours of total darkness every single night for a month. No artificial light allowed at all. Within just a few weeks, an ancient biological program woke up inside every single participant. Without any prompting, they naturally fell into the exact rhythm of our ancestors. 4 hours of initial sleep, 1 to 3 hours of quiet wakefulness, followed by 4 more hours of sleep.
And the most incredible part is what was happening inside their brains during those waking hours. We measured their hormones and found they were producing elevated levels of prolactin. Now, this is the exact same hormone released during deep meditation. The subjects described feeling profoundly peaceful and reflective. This wasn't a bout of annoying insomnia. It was an entirely distinct, lost state of human consciousness that modern society has completely erased.
Which leads us to the invention of artificial light.
So what killed this incredible, deeply soothing biological rhythm? How did we lose this meditative state of consciousness? Well, in just a few short centuries, we witnessed an incredibly rapid technological conquest of the night sky. In the 1600s, Louis XIV started installing street lamps in Paris to cut down on crime. By the 1800s, gas lamps were making the night easily navigable for everyone. And then, the ultimate death blow to our ancient sleep cycle, 1879, when Thomas Edison commercialized the electric light bulb. In just a few generations, a 300,000-year-old rhythm was completely wiped off the map.
Before all this light, society really respected the danger of the dark. The word curfew actually comes from the medieval French couvre-feu, which literally means cover fire. Bells would ring at night, signaling everyone to extinguish their fires. Why? Because the night was for dark vulnerability and sleep, not illuminated activity. Being out after dark was so suspicious in medieval times that walking without a lantern was actually illegal in some cities. The night belonged to the supernatural and to criminals.
Section 6, reclaiming our ancient rhythm. But then we conquered the night. We flooded it with light and we called it progress. Let's look at what this means for you, right now, as you probably sit in a room bathed in artificial light. The brutal reality of our modern habits is this. The average modern human is exposed to 7 to 8 hours of artificial light after the sun goes down. When you look at a screen or a bright bulb at 11 p.m., the blue light completely tricks your retinas. Your brain interprets that bright light as the daytime sun. As a result, it heavily delays and suppresses your melatonin, which is the hormone that regulates sleep. We are essentially fragmenting and destroying our ancient circadian rhythm every single time we scroll on our phones in bed.
But here is the incredibly hopeful part. Our 300,000-year-old programming isn't actually gone. It's just buried under all those LEDs. Researchers have found that if you go camping for just one single week with absolutely zero artificial light, your body's melatonin cycle will naturally reset itself by nearly 2 hours. Your body eagerly jumps back into its ancient rhythm the moment you expose it to true, natural darkness. Which leaves us with this final, perspective-shifting thought. Millions of people suffer from what modern medicine labels as insomnia. But what if waking up at 2 a.m. and lying there in the dark isn't your body malfunctioning at all? What if it's actually a memory? Your biology remembering a time when you were supposed to wake up, sit quietly by the fire, reflect on your dreams, and tap into a profound meditative peace. The next time you find yourself awake in the middle of the night, don't reach for the light switch. Maybe, just maybe, let yourself experience the lost ancient magic of the second sleep.